So I run Young Identity, which is a poetry organisation in Manchester. We've just stepped away from the organisation that's kind of looked after us for a couple of years, and with the strong women in my group and some of the strong men in my group, we've decided to start our own company. And the reason why I've been mic'd up is that there's a video being made. Okay, so I'm gonna just kick off and read. Okay. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with women, and the Word was women, and we are warrior women! We are queens and we are empresses. We bear this world in our womb. We teach our children that the day is now, and that without womb, men and children could not exist. A great dub poet once said that it's in front of a woman a man come from. And let me tell you, without us, they could not exist. I want to say, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody who's come out today, because it is the 100th year, and it would have been this year will be 100 years since my mother was born. She was born in 1918, a significant time for women. What do you say? A significant time for women. Votes for women. It was a significant time for change, but not for every woman. It wasn't a significant time for change for the working woman. The woman who worked in the mills, who broke her back to feed her children. Not yet. It was for middle-class women with property that they could inherit from their fathers so that their brothers didn't take what should belong to them. And it was a few years later, some years later, before women that were working in the mills that were around this city got the right to vote. And I say to them, thank you for being patient, but it seems to me that people who are at the bottom rung of the ladder are always waiting, are always having to wait for their turn. Well, not anymore, because we got the vote, now we've got the power, we're going to do what the American women have done, when there was going to be the far right elected, and we're going to make sure women get elected. Because we need to make sure we love you men. We do. And it's not a battering of men today. I know that because my husband's over there and he said, don't batter us. Don't batter us. Your son. Right. But what I want to say is that I believe that it's important that we, as women in this city, believe that the equality of women, the diversity of this city is important. Because what I have found is that, you know, for black women, we who were middle management in this city were the last to be hired, but the first to go. And that's right across a lot of industries, that the equality for black women is not the same as the equality for all women. And that's what this movement was about. That's what voting for women was about, that there would be equality across the board. Do you agree? Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to hear that there is still inequality in a country that has radical policies on equality. Absolute stunning policies on equality, but a liberal working out of those policies. So for me as a poet, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this poem. And I'm going to read it one more time. It was only a small little ditty because I want to introduce some of Young Identity women poets onto the stage. And it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with women, and the Word was women. And we are warrior women, queens and empresses in our house. We hold it together. We hold it together when, you know what, the system of the way that we are employed is still patriarchal. It It needs to be matriarchal, because actually we need to have our children go to work, do that thing, bring home a crust and a loaf and whatever it is that we need to bring home to survive. But we cannot do that if the system is that when we're having children, it's unsupportive, or if we need to work at home because our children are sick, we can't do it. We've got to take our holidays. We've got to do all kinds of schemes and schisms and find out aunties and uncles that we've never even spoke to look after our kids. The system for women in this country needs to change. The way that we work needs to change. I've not worked in my office for over a year, but guess what? It was the best year ever for young identity. I worked from my living room. It can be done. Do we need to be in offices with the technology that we have now? I don't think so. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to introduce two of my young ladies on stage. Come up together. It's so cold, you might as well huddle up. We all need to huddle up, really. We've got Al, and we've got... Okay, Sky. You changed it back. All right. You know what it says, you know, we're all fluid these days. We can be whoever we want to be. That's right. Nicole, are you going to come up and read?
Go on.
Okay, you need to go back around that way. So I'll introduce you to Nicole, who's also my daughter and a poet, and runs one of the poetry groups that we run in the city. This is Al.
Hey, big up Shirley May for giving us women poets a platform to speak. Okay, so this poem is called What Wildflowers Taught Me About Womanhood. Remember the flower in your window box, your mother told you. It has everything it needs right here. Doesn't fear the winter of its life, it's always within the light of your window frame, visible and protected. Don't worry about how it will feel when it sees the gladioli repotted. She only ends up next to the pox-spotted tomato plants, and God knows they don't have a chance. She gave you a pack of wildflower seeds one Christmas, said, they'll look lovely if you look after them right. You kept those seeds in a bottom drawer for years. Then one day you took a walk to the fields past that old brook by the old train track, ripped open the packet with your teeth, let the capsules free and watched them land at your feet and kick them into the dirt. You came back and found heather, thriving alongside marigolds and Queen Anne's lace. Came back each week to watch with proud eye the race between the climbing plants on the fence, and realised that wildflowers are meant for more than window boxes. Thank you.
Hola. So my name is Scarlett, and this poem is called Palo Santo. Her bones were Palo Santo wood. Her blood was melted amber resin. Her skin was formed from acorns, and her hair was a golden ratio. Her pupils were dark matter. Irises were pixie rings, and each vessel bore witness by the goodness of fruit. Her tears were telescope lenses. Ears were toadstool umbrellas. Her laugh was St. Bridget's Day. Smile, a daisy chain. Voice box, a beehive. Her tongue was a honeycomb. And her words were the sacred liquid. Her footprints liberated groundwater on Mars. Her arms were Noah's Ark, and her heart was a rose quartz cave I took refuge in during self-apocalypse. Thank you.
Hello, hi, I'm Nicole, and this piece is about colorism, and it goes like this. We are women. We have systematically segregated ourselves from one another. Hashtag team light-skinned, hashtag team dark-skinned. We should celebrate and unite regardless of our palettes of plagiarized shades of brown, because we are human. I am a testimony of my thick lips, curved back and kinky hair. I'm an ambassador for my blackness. I hold it close, it's my duty. We should never give up. We should never give up. As we are women. We are women. Thank you.
So that was Young Identity. You can see them on Instagram, Snapchat, all of that sort of stuff. They do it all.
One more for him.
Bit more! More!
Great. I'm seeking counsel from the women behind me. Do you want to give me the microphone back? Is this all right, Fred? I've not got that mic on me anymore. Okay, guess what? I'll let Sky do another one. The young ones have got it in their head. I need to look it up. Come, Sky.
Hi again. I have two names. This poem is called Samhain, which is a pagan holiday. In other words, it's Halloween, which is a beautiful time of the year. Yeah, Samhain. She said, "Wonder where the nettles are." So I devote myself to her divine labyrinth and find that her walls condense my thoughts, allow them to drip from my lids like dewdrops, kissing barren cheeks, greeting every element of myself because each is significant to the wheeling of a pentacle, and no two snowflakes are identical. She said, "Love with everything, then let it go." So I drink transformation from bloodstone, bind myself to her sanctity, untwine the dead roots that cuff me, collect epiphanies in jars like fireflies to use as spark for when the pyre dies. I watch the embers invoke the phoenix rise, but it's not until the smoke settles that she realizes she is her own muse. I will not wheel or dismiss her flame, nor will I hoard over memories of Beltane. I harvest her wisdom, knowing that no season lasts forever. Even in her crown, her ashes are golden, and her potpourri of words transpire through winter skies and trees, illustrating how magnificent dying can be. She said, "Every phase of the moon is illuminating, but true beauty basks between the cracks and shadows of her blemishes." Thank you.
Hi everyone. So this piece is a piece which is actually about domestic violence. So it's a sad one. It goes like this. If headlines streamed out of my mother's eyes, they'd leave scars like carefully crafted tribal markings. No longer did she wear rose-tinted spectacles, as each fistful fear-receiving punch left shards of glass bedded in her skin. This love wasn't limitless, it was relentless. This man was a corridor creeper, creating movie features just before dinner. So if I could wrap my mother's heart in newspaper, it'll tell you that this was a daily occurrence and he was inhumane. With each stomach gut-wrenching movement, her pain was muffled by her fist in her mouth, trying to hide the sound of the hectic domestic. But these walls are thin. The neighbours could experience cinematic scenes translated into blood-curdling radio plays, but still they ignored behind concrete walls, much thicker than closed doors. So if I could wrap my mother's heart in newspaper, just after he beat her, self-conscious images would descend as she tries to hide the cuts, the bruises, her fears flashing warning lights, leaving remnants of a butchered heart. Butchered possibility. She stays for the children, she stays for love lost, now coated on bloodied fists, as he promises he won't do it again. Yet the neighbours remain silent, as if watching movie credits roll up with familiar names like Mrs. Haroon and her two missing children help me. Mrs. Edwards can be found dead on the kitchen floor. Miss Lewis can be found on the psychiatric unit. Miss Parveen, death by misadventure. Miss Matthews wondering where it all went wrong. Miss Evans, a suicide. Their stories are kept secret, hidden, unspoken. So if I could wrap all these mothers' hearts in newspaper, if I could wrap my mother's heart in newspaper, just after he beat her, they'd leave scars like carefully crafted tribal markings. Thank you.